Hey guys, what is up? It is the Fast Break Report here, bringing you guys another vlog. So, the Phoenix Suns are making moves, man. Chris Paul got waived. That was not the headline I was expecting to see tonight, but it happened. And I'm just gonna be honest, this feels like all ownership. Matt Ishbia, if I'm saying that correctly, H-O-E, Phoenix Suns owner is not Robertson. Matt Ishbia. I wanted to say that correctly. Matt Ishbia seems to really want to win. And you know what, man? That is a huge change in their culture compared to what Robert Sarver left him. And apparently they're also shopping DeAndre Ayton as well. Now, I really don't know what the market is for a guy like DeAndre Ayton. Phoenix is definitely making a splash this offseason. By cutting Chris Paul, they saved themselves like just under $15 million. But the thing is, Chris Paul is old. Okay, he's 38 years old. He shot 41.8% from the field during the playoffs. Okay, like his decline was pretty obvious this year. Even in the regular season, Chris Paul didn't play like the Chris Paul we're used to seeing. And if I'm Phoenix, I really can't blame them. You owed him, I think, $30 million this year and next year. So by waiving him, they're saving themselves $15 million or just under $15 million next season, or this offseason. And it's just the idea, man, like, they have a really interesting thing going on because one question I'd like to propose here is, like, if you're the Phoenix Suns, right? Obviously, you didn't get as far as you would have liked to with Kevin Durant and Devin Booker, and now you have your duo, right? But now you've got to put pieces around your duo. And my question is, like, who would be willing to give the Phoenix Suns what they want? You know what I'm saying? Like, I understand, Phoenix Suns fans and even Pacers fans to an extent are going to be like, hey, trade Miles Turner for DeAndre Ayton. If you're a Pacers fan, yeah, that's actually an upgrade over Miles Turner. Whether or not you like to admit it, it is. But if you're Phoenix, it's a downgrade. And I think to myself, like, even if you're Indiana, you're taking on a max contract for a guy that's maybe not worth a max contract. He's worth a max contract, just not the max contract he got paid. And it's just the idea, Miles Turner's deal, while I don't like Miles Turner, is still a team-friendly deal for the Indiana Pacers. So I really don't know what teams are going to be willing to trade Phoenix for DeAndre Ayton or, like, give up what they have to bring him on their roster. He does get paid a whole ass ton of money, and he's been impressive at times, but hasn't been super impressive. Now, if we go on to the other side of things where the whole waiving of Chris Paul, if you're Phoenix, this maybe opens up an avenue for you to get Fred VanVleet. But the thing is, if you're Phoenix, I don't really think Fred VanVleet is the guy that you really need. Phoenix really needs a point guard that is going to score, is going to distribute, and play defense. And there's not a lot of them in free agency. I'm kind of wondering if Phoenix is going to try to pull off a trade here before the draft to maybe land themselves a draft pick and maybe a center for DeAndre Ayton, or maybe 2 draft picks for DeAndre Ayton so they can draft a point guard and draft a center, or something, maybe trade for a center and get a draft pick. Like, I don't know what that's going to look like. Like, there's not a lot of overpaid centers in the league that I think are, teams are really going to be willing to give up on. You could look towards Minnesota with Karl Anthony Towns. It looks like they're trying to move him, but, like, how much money do you really save by moving Karl Anthony Towns, bringing in DeAndre Ayton? And then on top of it, it's kind of like you got to question the fit with DeAndre Ayton and Rudy Gobert. I just don't know what they're necessarily going to get. There's not a whole lot of, like, super defensive centers in the league either. So part of me kind of thinks that, like, Phoenix should really try to keep Ayton. I mean, I get that he's not the greatest center in the league, but he has a lot of potential to be really good. And even Frank Vogel has voiced his opinions on DeAndre Ayton, saying that he thinks he could be one of the best centers in the league. And I honestly, I believe that. Like, as a Pacers fan, like, I believe DeAndre Ayton, with the right coach, a coach that believes in him, with the proper coaching staff. Supposedly David Fizdale is going with Frank Vogel to Phoenix. I just think with that coaching staff that's played for the Lakers or coached for the Lakers with Anthony Davis, JaVale McGee, Dwight Howard, I feel like Phoenix could maybe even bring someone like Dwight Howard on as a coach, or JaVale McGee as a coach, or something like that. Like, obviously you're not going to bring Anthony Davis in, but like, if they could bring somebody in that could just teach him how to play the center position physically and play it well and learn how to box out and put a body on people, like, I think, like, you might have something there as in a trio in Devin Booker, Kevin Durant, and DeAndre Ayton. And then, I don't know, maybe you try to trade somebody on your roster for a first-round pick and pick up your point guard of the future in the draft. There's a lot of really good point guards in this draft. You know, you got, Asur Thompson, you've got Anthony Black, you've got Kaysen Wallace, even Amen Thompson. Like, he's more of a scoring guard, but you could pick him up at point guard and play him. You know, like, there's a lot of point guards you could get in this draft. Even like Nick Smith Jr. might even be a steal towards the back end of the lottery if you can get into the lottery. Nick Smith Jr. could maybe fall right into your lap and you give him time to develop a little bit. Free agency, there's going to be point guards out there, but there's not going to be like elite caliber point guards out there. So I don't really know what's going to happen here. I really don't. You know, they could maybe make a run at D'Angelo Russell, but D'Angelo Russell didn't exactly play great for the Lakers when they needed him to. He's not exactly a pass first point guard. He can shoot, but his shooting at times can be streaky. So I really don't know what Phoenix is going to do. I don't know what the plan is. Obviously, the Pacers aren't giving up Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah, I'm sure that the Phoenix Suns are going to call about that at least one time and make an insulting offer. Like, hey, we'll give you DeAndre Ayton for Tyrese Halliburton. That's not going to fucking happen. Not in their dreams. But it's just the idea, like, maybe they call the Sacramento Kings about Davion Mitchell. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? I don't know, but they really need a defensive point guard who's capable of scoring the basketball and doing some playmaking, and Davion Mitchell's a name that pops off the sheet to me. Dennis Smith Jr. out of Charlotte, he played well last season coming off the bench. He's a guy that maybe Phoenix could pursue to play starting point guard for them. You know, they have the Charlotte Hornets have Terry Rozier and the number 2 pick. You know what I'm saying? Maybe if you're Phoenix, maybe it makes sense to trade DeAndre Ayton to Charlotte for the number 2 overall pick and a guy like Terry Rozier. Maybe you get Scary Terry to play point guard for you. You get the number 2 overall pick, and I don't know, maybe try to trade for us or sign a center in free agency, like Nikola Vucevic is going to be out there. I really think this is a thing of cap management in a way. I feel like Phoenix is trying to get their salary cap right so they can make a big signing, or, you know, at least trade to even out their roster. I feel like that's what they're trying to do. Maybe not get somebody that's amazing, but somebody that fills the holes. You know what I'm saying? Like somebody, maybe they go after a guy like Draymond Green. I don't know. Draymond Green's a guy that supposedly could decline his player option. And if he does, you know, KD has played with Draymond Green before. Maybe Draymond goes to Phoenix and they fill a hole at the power forward position. You know, and then move KD to small forward and you have Devin Booker playing the shooting guard position. Then at least if you do that, you can maybe get away with, I don't know, somebody who's not amazing at center, because Draymond Green is such a good defensive player. You know, it just, the possibilities are kind of endless here for Phoenix. But getting rid of Chris Paul was something I thought they kind of had to do, just because, like, he's dead weight on their roster. And yeah, you end up eating $15 million in cap space, but you also free up $15 million in cap space. So I don't know, man. At the end of the day, Phoenix has a lot going on, but waiving Chris Paul definitely means there's going to be a shakeup over there. I have a feeling they're going to be aggressive in free agency. Like, there's a lot of guys out there in free agency this year, too, that I think Phoenix is going to be interested in that they could maybe get for the low. One guy that I love in free agency this year is Thomas O'Brien, a guy who played amazing minutes for the Lakers, and for whatever reason, the Lakers just traded him to Denver, and then when he went to Denver, didn't even play. So, like, maybe the move for Phoenix here is try to trade DeAndre Ayton for a point guard and get a number 2 pick in the draft, and like I said, trade him to Charlotte. Trade him to Charlotte for Terry Rozier and the number 2 pick in the draft, and then sign Thomas O'Brien in free agency and have him play center for you. Like, these are all real possibilities, and I think if you're Phoenix, that last possibility the previous one I just stated, it would make a lot of sense. I think in some ways it would actually make your roster better. So I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. I'm not saying that DeAndre Ayton's better, Thomas O'Brien's better than DeAndre Ayton, because he's not talent-wise. But Thomas O'Brien is a guy who's still capable at center, and then you free up a whole shit ton of cap space to sign a Draymond Green. So I don't know, man. It's really like there's a lot of balls out here in different ballparks and stuff that could happen. But Phoenix is clearly wanting to do something huge. I don't know what that something huge is, but if they're cutting Chris Paul and eating $15 million in cap space and looking to shop DeAndre Ayton, it means they don't like DeAndre Ayton's contract. They don't think DeAndre Ayton is good enough to be on their team. And it shows that they're trying to free up cap space by cutting Chris Paul to maybe sign another point guard. So I don't know. It looks like Phoenix is trying to add depth. That's what I think they're really trying to do more than anything. It's like you have your 2 scorers, right? You got your 2 scorers in KD and Devin Booker. What you need now is some defense. You need to fill out some holes in your roster. You need to add depth. It's not so much about adding star players at this point as it is about adding good players around those star players. So, I don't know, man. We'll have to wait and see what happens here. But tell me what you guys think about this down below in the comment section below. A like helps me out. Subscribe if you guys want to see more. I'm the Fast Break Report. And I'm out of this motherfucker. Peace, guys.